Good morning. My name is Henji B. Gatdula. I am the Senior Labor and Employment Officer of Davao del Norte Field Office. Here, I will discuss the employer and employee rights and privileges with occupational safety and health standards. So what's the justification of labor law? According to the Presidential Decree number 442 as amended, in the Article 3 Declaration of Policy, the state shall promote full employment, ensure equal opportunities regardless of sex, race, or creed, and regulate the relations between workers and employers. It means na kahit anong sex, anong race, your nationalism, your creed, meaning your belief, your religion, all may equal work opportunities according to the labor law. First, we will discuss the management prerogatives. Now, what is the management prerogatives? According to the books 6 and 7 of the Labor Code, employers have the freedom and prerogative according to their discretion and best judgment to regulate and control all aspects of employment in their business organizations. It means that may rights ang mga workers but may prerogatives yung mga managements. Ibig sabihin nito, ang employers may freedom at may prerogative sila kung ano yung rules nila within their workplace. They have the full authority to conduct discipline, supervision of workers, working regulations, transfer of employees, work supervision, layoff of workers, dismissal and recall of workers. All of these belong to the prerogatives of the management. Our laws recognize and respect the exercise by management of certain rights and prerogatives. For this reason, courts often decline to interfere in legitimate business decisions of employers. So, as I explained earlier, it is part of the prerogative of every management to conduct whatever policy they will impose in their respective workplace. And our laws, our courts decline to interfere if it is of legitimate business decisions. In fact, labor laws discourage interference in employers' judgment concerning the conduct of their business. So whatever the business of employers, the government does not interfere. It does not amend any bylaws or policies within the rules of the businesses. Now, needless to say, on top of their prerogatives, there are limitations in the exercise of these management prerogatives. The exercise of management prerogative is not absolute. The exercise of management is subject to the limitations imposed by law or by CBA. If ever you will be employed with an organized union, so the policies, the rules in the company is bound by what is in the collective bargaining agreement or what we call CBA. Now, after discussing the management prerogatives, let's go to the basic rights of workers. As I said earlier, in every employment, there is employees' rights and employers' prerogatives. Now we will discuss basic rights of workers. What are the basic rights of workers in accordance to the labor law? Number one is the security of tenure. The security of tenure means after the worker is done with his probationary period or 6 months, he is now deemed a regular employee. So when you have a security of tenure, kailangan that there is if ever the company terminates you, the company should have causes and hindi ka dapat basta-bastang tanggalin. So this is what we call due process. Now, in every termination, there are two kinds of causes for this termination. Number one is just cause, and the other one is authorized cause. Just cause refers to any wrongdoing committed by an employee, including number 1, serious misconduct, number 2, willful disobedience, number 3, gross and habitual, number 4, fraud or willful breach of trust, number 5, commission of crime or offense against employer. In other words, this cause refers to any wrongdoing or nagkasala ang isang empleyado. But there is a termination na hindi nagkasala yung empleyado but still the management deems to terminate his or her employment. Now, what is this cause? It is called authorized cause. It refers to an economic circumstance not due to the employee's fault, hindi kasalanan ng empleyado, which includes, number 1, the introduction of labor-saving device. It means that the company invests in automation, so there's no need for manual labor. Yung mga manual labor noon, in-install nila lang like robots, computers. So this is what we call introduction of labor-saving device. The other one is redundancy. If you were hired in a position, but then the management later decided that they overhired your certain position, then they can terminate you due to redundancy. Redundant na yung position mo. Next is retrenchment to prevent loss. So, especially these times na there are losses all over the world, the company can do retrenchment para maibsan yung kanilang losses. So, hindi kasalanan ng employee, but the management still went for retrenchment. The other one is closure or cessation of business. So there is a temporary closure and there is permanent closure. In this case, it's not your fault. It's the management decision that they have to close their business. So then that is part of the authorized cause. And the last one is disease. So what's this disease? If you have incurred a disease a disease that is not curable within 6 months, then you can claim, you can be terminated. Itong klase na termination is one where it is the employee's decision to be separated to the company. But this is one of the authorized cause. So, I said earlier about due process, it means na hindi ka dapat basta-bastang tanggalin. So, there must be a procedure. For just causes, you should notify the employee of intent to dismiss and grounds for dismissal. As we remember, just causes is when the employee commits any wrongdoing. By due process, we notify them and then we tell them the grounds for their dismissal. Next is the opportunity for employee to explain his or her side. We should give we should give premium. We should give time for the employees to hear their side about what we intend for them to sanction. We should give them the right to explain themselves and not just parang tanggalin diretso. So the next one is the notice of decision to dismiss. After the hearing, after the conference where we get the employee the chance to explain themselves, that is when that is when the employer has the verdict to either accept the wrongdoing or to dismiss the employee. This is the due process for just causes. For authorized causes naman, as we remember, these are causes that is not in the employee's fault, but rather decisions, employer's decisions due to circumstances. So, kailangan lang natin magbigay ng notice of dismissal to the employee specifying the grounds at least 30 days before the date of termination. Next is the work days and work hours. As we know, there are offices that is available that has work days of Monday to Fridays, There are also Mondays through Saturdays, work hours like 8 to 5, 9 to 6, even as early as 6 to 3, or for graveyard shifts, there are schedules that is 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. So there are different working days and working hours. For normal working days, according to the law, that is the normal working days should not exceed 6 days. For the government, we only have 5 days, but for private companies, they have the prerogative to extend it to the 6th day. For working hours naman, according to our law, the normal working hours is set at 8 hours. Beyond the 8 hours normal working hours, we call it overtime. So for overtime, iba na yung rates. For the first 8 hours, we defer to the minimum wage. So how about when an employee works more than 6 days? When the employee works more than 6 days, we now call it, when the employee works beyond 6 days, the employee can now claim a premium pay. So every 6 days, meron dapat siyang rest day. And rest day, according to the law, is defined as the day after a 6 consecutive day of work. So the 7th day after the 6th consecutive day of work shall be deemed their rest day. So if you work on that day, you can claim a premium. And there are percentages that is beyond or that is more than what is the minimum wage. If ever na patrabahuin kayo after the 7th day, usually Sundays, if your work is Monday to Saturdays, if patrabahuin kayo for Sunday, then you can claim a premium pay because that should be your rest days. Ayan. Wage and wage-related benefits. So, aside sa ating sweldo, which is our basic pay, we actually have wage-related benefits. And what are these? So, on top of the minimum wage, we have what we call holiday pay. So, what is this holiday pay? If you have seen any of the local calendars, you can see that holidays have a red color. So for these holidays, we call them legal holidays or regular holidays. Every year, we have 12 legal holidays. And if you work for these days, you can claim a holiday pay. But what if hindi ka pumasok sa holiday? For example, January 1, close yung establishment. What if hindi ka pumasok? Can a worker still claim a holiday pay? The answer is yes, provided that you work the working day before the holiday. Then you can get a 100% or 1 day salary for that holiday. Premium pay, we discussed this earlier. Premium pay is when you work during your rest days. Aside from that, you can still have premium pay when you work for special holiday. Now, there are holidays that hindi red ang calendar. So, we call them special holiday. If you work for special holiday, then you can get a premium pay. This is more than your minimum wage. Now, what if you didn't work for a special holiday? So, what we do is no work, no pay. Next is the night shift differential. It is when a worker works from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. That is when a worker gains another night shift differential. This is on top of your minimum wage. Now, next is the 13th month pay. So, 13th month pay, according to the law, it should be given on or before December 24. So, ito naman is prorated. Ibig sabihin, this will be based on your kung ilang days ka present in a 12-month period. So, kung wala kang absent for the 12-month period, so estimatedly, this will be equivalent to your 1 month pay. Another wage-related benefits are paternity leave. As you know, if your wife goes into labor, then the father can go to a paternity leave. Next is maternity leave. Of course, when the mother is pregnant, she can go to a maternity leave, and this is up to 120. Normally, it is 105 days, but for solo parents, they can go as long as 120 days. Special leave. What is special leave? This is when women have gynecological disorders. So they have a mastectomy, they have operations in their reproductive organs. They can claim another special leave sa kanilang employers. Next is separation pay. So we mentioned causes earlier. If you are terminated because of authorized cause, ibig sabihin, hindi ka nagkasala, pero tinanggal ka due to management's decision, then you can claim a separation pay. Next is retirement pay. If you are 60 years old and you've worked up for a minimum of 5 years in your company, then you can claim a retirement pay. Payment of wages. Ito yung mga kadalasang tanong ng mga new hires, no? Ano ba dapat ang dates ng kanilang sahod? Is it quincena? Is it 10 and 25? Is it 5th and 20th of the month? So these are the common questions for new hires. The answer is it must not exceed 16 days. So at any date, so long as it must not exceed 16 days. So 15, then 30. So that's 15 days. It did not exceed 16 days. So whenever the employer deems kung kailan babayaran, so long as it does not exceed 16 days. Now we proceed with the safe and healthful working conditions. We talk about occupational safety and health standards. So recently, there was a law passed according to the Department Order number 198, or the Implementing Rules and Regulations of Republic Act number 11058, entitled An Act Strengthening Compliance with Occupational Safety and Health Standards and Providing Penalties for Violations thereof. It strengthens the employees' rights to have a safe and healthful working conditions. And if the employer violates any of the provisions, it means that the employer did not make sure that your working conditions is safe and free from any hazards, then there is an equivalent penalty for every equivalent violations. So this is a new law, and this hopes to prevent any accidents, any incidents, any deaths that is work related. So from the illumination to the sound levels to the temperature, all of these make way for the safe and healthful working environment for every workplaces. Then we go to self-organization and collective bargaining. I've mentioned this, and every employees have the right for a self-organization. So magtatayo sila ng union sa loob ng kanilang establishment, and after they've been successfully organized, they can now have a collective bargaining agreement with the management of that company. Next, we proceed with social welfare benefits. So when you start working and you compute your basic pay, when you look at your payslip and ibangga mo siya sa iyong computed na salary, you will notice that there is a slight deduction in your salary. That's because the company or the management has deducted your social welfare benefits. And what are these social welfare benefits? It is the Social Security System or SSS, the Philippine Health Insurance Corporation or the PhilHealth, and the Home Development Mutual Fund or most commonly known as Pag-ibig. These are mandatory deductions. And every month, your employer deducts this from your salary, and this goes to your remittances. So that is all for the basic rights of employees and prerogatives of the management with occupational safety and health standards. Thank you.